Good evening. In this video, I'm going to be discussing the process of importing international labor for a specialized field and the success it has had for the field of emergency medical services. My name is Reed Miller, and I'm a nationally registered critical care paramedic. Now, looking at a labor shortage as something with a global solution is nothing new. For years, companies have moved internationally with their work to maximize their profits and competitive advantage. Traditionally, companies would identify a task or work to be done that faced a localized labor shortage or was cost prohibitive to perform locally. They would then locate a pool of labor and send the work to be done where the labor resides. Think of manufacturing jobs moving to East Asia or IT work going to Southern Asia. Now, the unique challenges that companies in certain fields are now facing is that there's a shortage of highly trained specialized labor. In addition to the need for specialized training and skills, the labor cannot be done remotely and must be done at the location where it is required. The solution to this problem is found at the convergence of our connected world with a staffing shortage to move the workforce to where they are needed. Now, the field of emergency medical services has been facing a staffing shortage for some time now. Some of the earliest warning signs of a lack of staff came in early 2019 as response times to calls began to climb due to no units being available. The COVID 19 pandemic exacerbated this problem by pushing an already overworked workforce well beyond most of their limits. The subsequent great resignation gave the opportunity for many in the EMS field to move on to higher paying and lower stress jobs. EMS is well known for being a field that requires long and unusual hours, high stress, and traditionally poor pay. Acadian Ambulance is the largest private ambulance company in the United States, employing over 5,000 personnel and 1,200 paramedics. And because of its size, Acadian was hit especially hard by the mass exodus of paramedics from the field. Being a private and not a municipal service, Acadian's poor income and service could not be offset by additional tax funds or excused as a new normal as other agencies have. Acadian has had to adapt, and it had the freedom to think and move outside the box of traditional EMS staffing, being a private entity. Now, looking internationally, Australia was one of the places that Acadian identified as a place that was facing a glut of paramedics, with many of the medics unable to find work due to a lack of openings. Acadian began working in early 2019 on a program to bring Australian medics over to the United States on international work visas for a predetermined length of time. Unfortunately, it was not as easy as just buying an Aussie a plane ticket and telling them where to show up for their first day. Acadian faced several challenges to get this new international program up and running. The first challenge they came across was the US and Australian immigration laws. At the time the program began, US immigration laws were at some of the tightest that they had ever been. There was also the cultural differences of what a paramedic in Australia versus the United States is. Australian and US paramedics have a very similar scope of practice. Their skill sets mostly overlap, but there are some differences. Now, regulators presented the next hurdle for the program, as paramedics in the United States have to be certified at the national and state level by different governing bodies. The Australian medics, when they came over, had to attend a month-long bridge program to satisfy the training requirements of these organizations before they could finally attain their credentials. So, what can we learn from Acadian's Aussie Medic program about looking to international staffing? Well, the first thing we see is that the program has been an overwhelming success, with 14 Australian paramedics currently working for Acadian and another 40 currently in process. The benefits have already been felt by Acadian and the areas that they service. But there are some valuable lessons to take away from this program. First, you need to identify a country that has an excess of the type of specialized labor that is needed. Next, you really need to understand the culture of that different country, as many of the job titles may be the same, but the actual roles and skill sets could differ. Next, a clear understanding of what monetary and time costs will be involved with getting that labor force to the country where it is needed with all the necessary credentials. If these costs overshadow any profits gained, then a program like this may not be successful. Some factors to consider are things like immigration laws and potential fees that may be incurred as the people come over to the country. Finally, that workforce needs to understand the expectations of the job, the employer, and the culture they're moving into to ensure not only that those workers want to stay for their time period, but also maybe recruit others to come over with them. So I want to thank everybody for their time this evening. Thank you.